A matrifocal family structure is one where mothers head families and fathers play a less important role in the home and in bringing up children. Definition: the concept of the matrifocal family was introduced to the study of Caribbean societies by Raymond Smith. He linked the emergence of matrifocal families with how households are formed in the region. The household group tends to be matrifocal in the sense that a woman in the status of mother is usually the de facto leader of the group, and conversely the husband, father, although de jure head of the household group, is usually marginal to the complex of internal relationships of the group. By marginal, we mean that he associates relatively infrequently with the other members of the group, and is on the fringe of the effective ties which bind the group together. Smith emphasizes that a matrifocal family is not simply woman-centered, but rather mother-centered. Women in the role as mothers become key to organizing the family group. Men tend to be marginal to this organization, and to the household. Where matrifocal families are common, marriage is less common. In later work, Smith tends to emphasize the household less, and to see matrifocality more in terms of how the family network forms with mothers as key nodes in the network. He also sees the Afro-Caribbean matrifocal family as part of a class-race hierarchy where marriage is connected to perceived status. A family, a domestic group, is matrifocal when it is centered on a woman and her children. In this case, the father of these children are intermittently present in the life of the group and occupy a secondary place. The children's mother is not necessarily the wife of one of the children's fathers. In general, according to Laura Hobson-Hurley citing P. Muhammad, women have high status if they are the main wage earners. They control the household economy, and males tend to be abstinent. The term was coined in 1956. Men's absences are often of long durations. One of R.T. Smith's contemporary critics, M. G. Smith, notes that while households may appear matrifocal taken by themselves, the linkages between households may be patrifocal. That is, a man in his role as father may be providing support to a mother in one or more households whether he lives in that household or not. Alternative terms for matrifocal or matrifocality include matricentric, matripodistal, and women-centered kinship networks. The matrifocal is distinguished from the matrilocal, the matrilineal, matrilateral, and matriarchy. Characteristics and distribution. According to anthropologist Maurice Godelier, matrifocality is typical of Afro-Caribbean groups and some African-American communities. These include families in which a father has a wife and one or more mistresses. In a few cases, a mother may have more than one lover. Matrifocality was also found, according to Rasmus and Paholahi, among the Tuareg people in northern Africa, by Raymond T. Smith, in some black Caribbean families in British Guyana, according to Hurley citing other authors, in some Mediterranean communities, and, according to Hurley quoting Scott, in urban Brazil. In the study of family life in Bethnal Green, London, during the 1950s, Young and Wilmot found both matrifocal and matrilineal elements at work. Mothers were a focus for distributing economic resources through the family network. They were also active in passing down the rights to tenancies, in matrilineal succession to their daughters. He found matrifocality among the Miskito people in the village of Uri, on the Caribbean coast of northeastern Honduras in the late 1990s. According to Hurley, the main power of Uri women lies in their ability to craft everyday social identities and kinship relations. The power lies beyond the scope of the Honduran state, which recognizes male surnames and males as legitimate heads of households. Early found in Korea a trend toward matrilineality and a correlation with matrilineality, while some patriarchal norms also existed. Early found that the women knew more than most men about village histories, genealogies, and local folklore, and that men typically did not know local kinship relations, the proper terms of reference, or reciprocity obligations in the wife's family, and concluded that Miskito women increasingly assume responsibility for the social reproduction of identities and ultimately for preserving worldwide cultural and linguistic diversity. The Nair community in Kerala and the Bunt community in Tamil Nadu in South India are prime examples of matrifocality. This can be attributed to the fact that if males were largely warriors by profession, a community was bound to lose male members at youth, leading to a situation where the females assumed the role of running the family. History. In the 14th century, in Jiangyan, South China, under Mongol rule by the Yuan dynasty, Kongqi kept a diary of his view of some families as practicing gynecology, not defined as it is in major dictionaries but defined by Paul J. Smith as the creation of short-term family structures dominated by women and not as matrilineal and matriarchal. The gynecology possibly could be passed down through generations. According to Paul J. Smith, it was to this kind of gynecology that Kong ascribed the general collapse of society, and Kong believed that men in Jiangyan tended to forfeit authority to women. Matrifocality arose, Godelier said, in some Afro-Caribbean and African-American cultures as a consequence of enslavement of thousands. Slaves were forbidden to marry and the children belonged to the slave masters. Women in slave families often sought impregnation by white masters so the children would have lighter skin color and be more successful in life, lessening the role of black husbands. Some societies, particularly Western European, allow women to enter the paid labor force or receive government aid and thus be able to afford to raise children alone, while some other societies oppose living on their own. In feminist belief, there was a matrifocal golden age before patriarchy.